Welcome back to part 3 of our series of putting a bookend matching set of scales on a knife. Please visit our website at www.grebickknives.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our videos. At our website, you will find all the knives and blogs that we currently have about the knives. If you'd like to have any more information, please leave us a message in the comment section and I'll either get back to you or I'll make another video to cover that subject. Thank you. Okay, scales are fully profiled down to the tang. A little bit of sanding to clean them up and make it look just right. And then we'll shape the top and put the bevel on the top as soon as we get this shaped up. On to hand sanding. Okay, here we are, all set up in the vise, ready to do the hand sanding. What we're trying to accomplish here is we're trying to take all the scratches out, get it set up so that when I do finally bond the two scales to the knife, that just a little bit of cleanup is required after that. And here we go. We'll start with 180 grit. On to 220. We took 180 up until all the heavy grinder marks were gone, and now we start out with the 220 and do the same process. Probably no more than 10 sheets. Now we have the spine and the belly all sanded out to 220. There's no more big scratches in it from the grinders, and now we set the bolster bevels. The bolster area of the knife, you want to have the right shape on it so it looks good, and you get to decide all by yourself what that shape is. I want to take a little bit off the front. I want it to be a little bit rounded, and then we'll round the back a little bit. Okay, now we'll pull the pins using a punch. And we have raw scales. Now we want to mark it, make sure we know which side. Because I've never made a mistake. Okay, we've got them pinned back together so I can grind both pieces at the same time. We're going to shape the bevel. Okay, we've got a rough shape. We'll see how it looks when it's on the blade. That's going to look fine. Now we just want to contour the front, and that's the next step. And now on to hand sanding. And we start this process with 220 grit sandpaper on a nice little block. And we will finish with 1000 grit. Now we're going to shape the scales. I used to draw the shape on there that I was intending to look for. I'd draw it on the sides and I'd draw it on the front. but that doesn't survive first sanding. It's gone as soon as you start it. So I found that it's much easier for me just to shape them by feel. And we're going to show you how that's done. Back in a second. So we now have two sets of scales that are tapered from the bolster area to down by the pommel, down by the hilt of the knife. The similar thicknesses all the way through. Both of them are very similar. Now we're going to put on kind of a contour in the center with a round 4-inch pulley on the belt sander. That's going to take and give the final shape before we bond it onto the handle. Okay, we're using 120 grit. Might want to use some heavier grit, but this is what I currently have available to me. So we're going to use 120. And off we go. And here's the shape that we're looking for. Slope down in, you'll be able to grab a hold of it. Needs a lot of refinement. That'll all be done by hand sanding. And now on with the last piece to match this one. Now we compare from side to side. This one has a little bit taller, but that's all right. We'll take care of that in just a moment. Put them together. And it's pretty much even. We're pretty even. This side has a little bit higher on the butt of the handle. That needs to be taken down just a little bit. All the way from the front side is okay. It's high here, and down to there. And we'll take that down right now. We're going to wash off the knife tang so it doesn't get any contaminants on the scales. We're washing that off with some acetone. You can use denatured alcohol. Anything that will remove oils, waxes, fingerprints, whatever. Now we're going to fit the scales. And we're going to adjust the pins accordingly. You want them just protruding just slightly, so that when you clamp everything together, the clamps will not be hindered by the pins. I don't know why that's not. Okay, we'll force that one through at the end. Push that one through. Why are that going in? That's a good question. Run the reamer bit through that, just to be careful. Since the pins were so tight, I went back to the reamer bit, reamed them back out again. Should be a little bit over 3/16 of an inch. The pins might be slightly oversized because, there we go, because most steel pin stock is not precision ground. So you will run into various sizes from slightly oversized to slightly undersized. Always fit your pin stock before you decide to glue everything together. This one is just about perfect. This one can come down just a touch, or if I center it, we're just about perfect. That one needs to come down a touch. So we're going to take it over, and we're going to clean it up a little bit on the belt grinder. Since I ground this pin off, it's got the sharp edges on it. We need to round that off like this end. So we're going to take it right over here on this little grinder I've got over here, ground them off. Going to pull the pins out now. Everything is fit and set and ready to go. So we will go ahead and prepare for bonding. Here we have the tang of the knife all set up, prepped, ready to go. It's been sanded with 80 grit. 80 grit scratches across will improve the bonding ability of the adhesive, which I use a 2-part epoxy that's good for about 6,500 pounds. Now, some people suggest using 36 grit. My mileage says 80 grit is fine because I've had to grind scales off when I had to replace them. So we're going to go from there. So that's the blade. You'll notice the blade is darker than it was. That means I acidized it and coffee etched the blade for the final finish. Now we're going to start on the scales. I want the scales to be 80 grit as well. So I take a fresh piece of 80 grit paper and I just take it and hit the scales just a little bit, holding it the widest part, and that's sufficient for bonding. Get the other one. And to be sure not to change the contour of the handle that comes in contact with the tang, or they won't line up. Now we go on to the pins. I'm going to put 2 serrations on the pins with a hacksaw to make the pins bite in, and those little cuts will be filled in with epoxy and bond the pins in like a rivet. See you in a second. That's sufficient. We're scuffing the pins after I get the cuts in it. Cuts are in all 3 of them. Now we're cleaning it up with 80 grit, and plus that helps to put little scratches in the sides that assist in the bond. And if you don't do this every place where you cut, you've got a little burr sticking up, you'll have to drive the pins through, and it has a tendency to make the scale break. You'll peel a part out of the scale. You don't want that. So we clean them up again after they're done. Cleaned all 3 of them up with 80 grit, and you can see how it looks after that. That wraps up video number 3. There'll be a 4th video, which will be the final video. It'll cover bonding the handles together. It'll cover finishing the handles off once they're set. It takes about 24 hours for the stuff to set up, so it'll be a time delay that you guys won't get to see. Please like our videos and subscribe to our channel, and leave any comments or questions that you have in the comment section. If you have any questions or comments, I will respond to you either in the comment section or I'll make another video. Have a nice day, guys. Bye-bye.